Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. This time it's on branded Chimera. So this is easily my favorite deck of all time, simply because like it just does so much. Um, and I just like the retrains of the old Yugi cards like Baphomet and Gazelle. I just think they're really cool overall. And I just love the illusion type as a whole because like they have the gimmick where they can't really be destroyed in battle. And some of them have some pretty interesting effects, which is what I wanted to share with you guys today. Now, ever since we got the Infinite Forbidden, the meta has greatly shifted, especially at the NAWCQ, where like many players are on the Fiendsmiths engine. So I basically just wanted to adjust my deck not only to help me deal with matchups like that, but also with other matchups like Ubel, Flunderies, because like that's still a pretty solid rogue deck, and there's actually gonna be quite a lot of good rogue decks out there too. So I just want to share with you guys what I came up with. So let's go and get started. Alright, so my main deck is still 40 cards, playing 3 copies of Nightmare Apprentice. I finally got my hands on a third one, so yeah, it's really good. It's basically like a Apprentice Illusion Magician. You just discard a card to special summon this one, only you don't search out Dark Magician, it just searches out any other illusion monster that you need. So it's a great way to get into access cards like your Sword Knight, another great one-card starter. You sack this off to bring out the Big Wing Baphomet, and then from there, your combo just goes crazy. They also have a graveyard effect where, like, if you control a Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, you can banish this card to negate a monster's effect, but only while your opponent controls it, of course, and it doesn't destroy. And then there's also Cornfield Codal, which searches out any monster that lists Chimera Fusion in its text. You can also search out the Sword Knight this way as well. But one cool thing about Codal is that it also has that same graveyard effect, only difference that this negates targeting effects, and it actually does destroy the cards. So yeah, all 3 of these, as long as you open up with either one, you're good to go. I'm also playing the one Master Tau. It's Monster Reborn for your illusion monsters. It does lock you to special summoning from the graveyard except with the illusions for the duration of the turn, but that's generally okay. Usually by then, you're pretty much already fully set up. But one of the targets I always try to bring back the most is Diabels, the original Sin Keeper. It's a one-sided anti-spell fragrance. It also has an effect where when a spell or trap is set, you can pop a card on the field. So Diabels is pretty crazy. It's a great way to deal with like Lightning Storm, great way to deal with the triple tactics, because again, you're just going to pop it. So yeah, Diabels just puts a lot of pressure to your opponent. Alright, so for the actual Chimera line, playing 3 copies of Gazelle. If it's used as fusion material, you can search out any illusion monster from your deck to your hand. Big Wing Baphomet, this is the card that searches out both Gazelle and the Chimera Fusion together at once. And if it's used as fusion material, it also acts as a form of monster reborn for your illusion monsters. Since I am on a branded line, obviously I'm still playing 2 copies of Albaz and 1 copy of Dark Magician. You could play like Hexsteel Fusion, but I like Dark Magician simply because like I like to be able to actually pop something with Dragoon, and that can be pretty relevant for time. And plus Dragoon is just a crazy card still, so why not, right? Alright, so now moving on to my hand trap line. Of course, obviously I'm going to be playing 3 copies of Ash. Now that Fiendsmiths are a thing, and there's a lot of decks that do a lot of searching anyway too. I think Drone Lockbird is going to be pretty crazy right now, so I would definitely recommend playing at least a playset of that. And of course 3 copies of Emperor. Alright, so for my spell lineup now, I'm still playing 3 copies of Branded Fusion, obviously. 3 Chimera Fusion, this card's broken. 3 Super Poly, I still like the ability, just to break boards. Now keep in mind, you have to figure out a way to deal with the Phantom of Ubel and Sanctifier Jargon while it's still legal, if it actually does get banned. But against Phantom of Ubel, it's going to be a little tricky because that card can't be used as fusion material. So but there are ways you can kind of deal with that, so I wouldn't worry. 2 copies of Triple T, and of course the 1 called by, and that rounds up our main deck. My extra deck is still very much exactly the same as it was. Obviously I'm going to still be playing 2 copies of Chimera, the King of Phantom Beast. I like it because it rips cards out of the hand, and that's pretty relevant because especially it gives you knowledge of what your opponent's going to be on. 1 Baphomet Fusion, just so it foolish barrels my Diabels most of the time, and then from there and if I already have Diabels in hand and just use it for fusion material, I can just send Master Tau instead and just bring it right back. So there's a lot of good application for Baphomet. 1 Chimera the Illusion Beast is a basic or a major OTK enabler, because not only does it power down your opponent's monsters and negate their effects permanently, but also gets multiple attacks, so that's really nice. 1 Guardian Chimera, 1 Magnum the Reliever. For my branded line, 1 Mirror Jade, 1 Albion, 1 Lebellion, and Rinbrum. And then for my Super Poly choices, 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Garura, Starving Venom, 1 Drago, and as I mentioned before, I am running the 1 copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So these cards are all pretty nuts in their own right. Alright, so that's it for the extra. Now for the side deck. Side deck did undergo some changes, so give me a second to get it together. Alright, so starting off with 3 copies of Cashier Fenrir. Now, my theory with Fenrir is that not only is it just a free special summon, but I think this card is actually surprisingly good against the Yubel matchup, because like if you can bait out the Phantom of Yubel effect or even the Samsara D Lotus, all you have to do is just like use his effect to banish one of their monsters face down. And honestly, Yubel definitely needs his resources because they can shuffle back their materials from their hand, field, or graveyard. I believe on the banish pile too. And not only that, but the field spell also recycles their banished cards. So you want to banish them face down so they're out of the game for good. Now keep in mind, I'm not entirely afraid of Yubel. In fact, I've got another card that, if anything, is probably more efficient against that matchup, as well as the Flundereese matchup, because those birds are still annoying. But Fenrir is just like got a lot of good applications, so that's just my theory with it. 2 Nib, it's good when you have it, but sometimes like there've been occasions where I draw into it too late, so that's why I just decided to bump it down to 2. 1 Emissary from the House of Wax. I'm not main decking this because like, even though it's a good card, it can be a little bricky unless it's for the right matchup. And honestly, this is pretty strong against the Tempai Dragons. But again, if I end up, going first, I have no knowledge of what my opponent's really going to be on, unless I see it firsthand. But against the Tempai matchup, yeah, Emissary is pretty nuts because like any remaining monsters they have can't change their battle positions, and they'll have their effects negate until the end of the next battle phase. So it's a good way to kind of defend yourself from that Triton Dragion. I'm still on the end of Anubis, pretty strong against like anybody who's on Bystials, even DD Crows, in fact. So like, yeah, I think End of Anubis is a great card. And it also stops graveyard effects. So against like the Snake Eye matchup, which they do have quite a lot of those, yeah, End of Anubis is pretty nuts. And he's big, so pretty hard to get around sometimes. The 1 copy of Barrier Statue of the Abyss. So outside of like, this is not good against Yubel unless they are on Fiendsmiths. I mean, you technically shut off half their deck, but usually they'll have other things to deal with it. But against like Snake Eye Fire King, or Snake Eye Fire King, or even Snake Eye Fiendsmith, this card is just nuts because like, since the deck is primarily fire, light, yeah, like that just shuts them off and it just forces them into the battle phase. And if you can protect it, then yeah, you should be able to just win the game downright. And finally, 1 copy of King Tiger Wagyu. This is basically my win con against the Yubel matchup, because again, all their monsters have less than 1,400 attack points, and it just blows up everything. Even regardless if they can just special summon another Yubel monster, this is just gonna keep popping their cards, and that's pretty nuts. It's also, like I said, pretty good against the Flundereese matchup, because like, yeah, they won't really get to play so long as this card is on the field, and they'll have nothing to tribute. So yeah, it's such a good card. All right, so for the spells, I'm playing 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. You could main deck this if you wanted to, but I think it's better off on the side for right now, just because, again, the format has greatly shifted, so I think Droll and Lockbird's going to be slightly better, but it is really great when it comes out. Double Lightning Storm, and to round it up, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. I actually found myself a really good condition German copy, so I was really happy to find this, and honestly, it's pretty sick. I like the way this card looks. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.